My name is Dimitria Atkins Harding, and I am originally from the Hampton Roads area of Virginia, a small city called Portsmouth, Virginia. And my parents stressed the importance of an education. My father did not make it far out of middle school, and my mother was an LPN. One of the things that I find that is very important to me is ensuring that students get that opportunity, which translated into my entering career and technical education. I am a proud first-generation college student, first-generation college graduate, and I'm definitely an advocate for first-gen students. And I can remember vividly what that looked like in my household, knowing that I was going to college, but having to navigate what that looked like. When I applied for the fellowship, I was so thankful that I had a coworker to forward me the application because she thought of me. And in that application, I think it asked us, where do you see yourself in 5 years or in 2 years or something? And I remember typing, I want to be a provost or vice president in a community college or a technical college. And today I sit here as the interim vice president of academic and student affairs at a technical college. So typing that, thinking about where I'm going to be, that's writing that into existence. Outside of being a first-generation college student, my education is very traditional in that I went straight from high school into a 4-year, into a master's degree. So I went and worked as a cytologist for a few years. One day, the lab director came in and closed our lab. And literally the week before, I graduated with my master's, and the day before I bought a house. So what did I do? I turned to some type of training. I said, what is going to get me a job as fast as possible? So I got all of my certificates and diplomas post-masters, which who does that, right? So I saw the value of hands-on training after having a graduate degree. And I began teaching as an adjunct and went from an adjunct to full-time to program director to department chair to dean to vice president. A lot of the students that I had, they were first-generation college students. They probably had no other support in their lives but that institution. And CTE does that for people. Now, what we need to do and what we must continue to do is to chip away at this equity gap because we want to make this available to all students. Leadership did not come easy or natural to me, and I say this all the time and am quite proud to say that I am a learned leader. I do see the gap in leadership because there's so many spaces where I enter where I am the only. I can be the only woman. I can be the only woman of color, the only African American woman. There's so many spaces where I am the only, and that has to change. Do I have to enter a space and have to continuously prove myself to say that I belong here? What does the pipeline for leadership look like for people like me? And is that my responsibility to create that pipeline? Who's in it with me? It's not something that I can do alone. Now, I'm up for this challenge to create a pipeline of leaders, of diverse leaders in career and technical education, but it's not something that I can do alone. What does leadership training look like? What does mentorship look like? What does deletion of the equity gap look like? It is so challenging to walk into spaces, in places that you are the only one, and there's no one, what feels like from miles and miles around, that you feel as if you can talk to, that looks like you or shares your journey. In the past, I felt in the interview process or even in traveling to conferences, I felt like I needed to pull back a little bit when it comes to attire, to hair, to presentation, to different aspects of me, that I couldn't be my authentic self. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. It is important for me to be my authentic self, to show up. And that is not disrespectful. That is me being me. I really do think that it is important to have state leaders that look like me, because I think about who I'm going to go to when I want mentorship, when I look for leadership. Don't you think that it will make sense to have someone who looks like me, or someone similar to me, someone who knows what the battle feels like? Because there's a lot of people out there in leadership positions that can't really understand what the fight feels like. It can be an everyday fight to be an African American woman in a leadership position. Are you prepared? Are you ready to have equity-minded leaders? Are you ready for that investment in resources, in time, in learning? Is it something that you're just going to put on your website and hope that it gets some clicks? Or are you going to stand behind what that looks like? What does that look like? And are you a leader that is going to hold your institution accountable? In 5 years, I would love to be the person that comes to mind when people think about equity in post-secondary CTE. If you're thinking about where we've come in 5 years, we've chipped away at the equity gap. We know that our students are succeeding in every facet of post-secondary CTE, or we're not doing as well as we could have. Who can we reach out to? I want them to think of me. I think about some things that state leaders can do to make these positions at the state level more appealing for diversity, for people of color, for people who look like me. You do have to go through your policies and procedures with an equitable lens. We have to keep in mind, again, who we're serving. I think it's human nature to say, how does this make me feel? Or how do I approach this? We're not serving ourselves. We're serving our students. So once you take yourself out of it, that lens is completely different. So here's my blueprint of a way to create a more welcoming and diverse pipeline for leaders at the state level. First, commit to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Make sure that it's more than a statement on your website. Also, establish mentoring programs. Make sure that those mentors look like the people that you're trying to recruit. Implement some type of true down-to-earth bias training. Make sure that it's not just a checklist. Provide leadership training. What does true leadership training look like at your institution? And make sure that it's not just someone who is handpicked. You want to make sure that you open it up to everyone at your institution. Create inclusive policies that are equitable. It's important to have a work-life balance and policies for hiring and promotion. You don't want to forget about those who are already working for you. Actively recruit. You want to make sure that your recruitment actively reaches out to those who are underserved, those that you normally do not seek out intentionally. Also, cultivate a culture of inclusion. This is something that starts with leadership. A culture of inclusion starts from the top, but encompasses your entire organization. Everyone in your organization must feel comfortable in their workplace. It's important that you create a welcoming environment where everyone's voice is valued and heard.